Uh, Guess what? It's time for a show. So that means I have to enter the door with the flow. It's the Virgo lunar eclipse. It's total blood moon. What's this? Loose lips need to quit when you try to compete. Don't you understand? Two Virgos together, so unique. The technique is frequencies healing your body. That's right, you know, of course, it's God body. I ought to be like a Roddy C, protecting the situation for you, B, because she's the Cancer moon and I'm the Capricorn too. But two Virgos together is just for you. You got the musical medium on the flow. And don't you understand music from the other world, yo, the other side. We're coming with some pride. I'm going to score 2 points like Clyde the Glide. Sit back, relax, grab your headphones so you can understand these verbal microphones. The tones may just heal your knees. You may feel like starting to speak Japanese. That's okay. Just go with the flow. These electrical blue communications are deep, yo. So what you need to sit back and relax and just get ready for some deep emotional tracks from the other side. Yeah, I say it again, because her boyfriend on the other side, my friend, he's not in the living realm, you see, but tonight you'll hear his voice through the frequencies. So the eclipse is here, but it's time to start the show. Knowledge is love, my dear, and Mrs., and maybe even Mr. Hope you sit down and meet my new Virgo sister. Let's go. I'm attacking the flow, and tonight I'm on the chip tooth type of flow. That's what it is, and that's how it be. Time to start the show, and my name is Big E. Knowledge. What's up, everybody? Eric Taylor, Big E Astrology, and I am so excited to be here tonight. Episode 431 with a very special, amazing guest. And if you listen to the rhyme and the flow, you know she's a Virgo with a Cancer moon. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I am introducing someone who is really deep with graphics and business branding and websites, but she's really the musical medium, the audio alchemist. I present to you tonight with some live music as well and music from the other side, Miss Marcie Dean. Welcome to the show, Marcie. How are you?
Thank you, Big E. Eric, really appreciate you having me here. I'm doing well. Been excited for this conversation. I'm sure we'll flow like we always do, right? Sometimes losing track of time. Yeah, that's
listen. This is what it's all about. I'm excited for everybody to come tonight and to meet you. Hello to everybody in the chat. We'll get to you guys soon. What's really the music wants to come back on.
That's what this episode's all about, man.
It's all about the music. But I'm really excited because we connected through my amazing friend, Unmute with Priya Sudarsanam, who's been on the podcast a few times, but also a personal friend of mine. And she was just like, you've got to meet her, Eric. You've got to connect with this girl. Her name is Marcie, and da-da-da-da, and the music and healing frequency, da-da-da. And I was like, what? So I guess the first thing that I want to ask you is, what does musical medium mean to you? And how did you kind of come into this frequency, energy, and title?
Yeah, musical medium means nothing I planned consciously in this living world. Probably had a soul plan before this and agreed to do some crazy things. But I've always been an empath. I've always called myself an empath. That was the safe way. But I was senior corporate leader, soccer mom, all that. And I just saw it as like a gift from God that I would just know things or be able to read people, right? But I met a once in a lifetime soulmate. His name was John. Mm-hmm. And I've never had an experience like this. After a long marriage, I was hoping some of the premonitions I was getting was fear. And write it off as that. But I got a premonition like 2 weeks into knowing this man that I have never had this kind of instant connection with, that he was going to die. And I remember.
Wait. That's huge. Wait, after 2 weeks of dating, you got that premonition?
Yeah, and he was 5 years younger than me, mind you. Seemed pretty healthy to me. Like, I couldn't make sense of it.
Wow.
Let me add another one for this audience that I think they'd appreciate, is that when I had been married, I was married for 17 years. I've got 2 beautiful daughters. Yes. And you try to make things work when you have a family. And I had met all the goals I thought I had for my life. And you try to keep something going, even if you know it's not good for you. Yeah. And I did that. And but we split several times. So the second split of three being the final one, I actually saw some Facebook ad pop up that said like, I'll sketch your soulmate, for $15. I was like, I bet they're just going to look through my Facebook and draw somebody like my ex-husband or somebody else. Anyway, I did it. I was like, what the hell?
You did one of those?
I did. And I pretty much saw this black and white sketch, looked pretty amateur drawing. I mean, it was a nice drawing, but it looked like, okay, maybe they just printed this off. I tucked it away. I somehow kept it in my Gmail, and I couldn't even remember who I got it from, but I tucked it away for a long time. In that same week that I heard these premonitions about John, I saw a picture as I was looking through his Facebook page, and he's holding his sleeping son when he was little. And it was him. Like, I suddenly had this flashback, like, oh, that thing from a couple years ago. And I went digging through my Gmail, trying to psychic sketch, all these things. And I pulled it up, and I like about dropped my phone. I was like, oh my God, I got to tell this guy. And I sent a picture, and I will share that. I'll show an image of this later, but it was him. It was him. So, it just like there were all these signs pointing to it, but I got these premonitions he was going to die. And when I talked to him about it, he'd said he was going through a little bit of depression, just life stuff, custody stuff, kids stuff, all the things that we all deal with, but that he kept getting some message that he also was. And I was like, okay, at first I was scared to tell you, but now I'm even more scared if you're getting the same message, right?
Wow.
So I had his health checked out. He had some dental problems. I'm like, we're going to get this solved. I'll help you however I can.
Right.
He snored at night, and I was like, you have sleep apnea. Like, I went down the path of everything.
You're like, how can we prevent death when I just met my soulmate?
Absolutely. And so I did. I helped him get the dental work done. And then I found these mouth guards that were the first thing that helped, and helped me sleep too, because this man could snore like a freight train. But he was fine. It wasn't health stuff. Like, everything he had checked out, other than like things that need to be done, he was in good shape. So I couldn't understand this, but then this whole relationship moved at like rapid fire pace. And by 6 months, I felt like I already felt like I knew him from before, but by 6 months, I felt like we had been together for years. Wow. And maybe decades or lifetimes, right? But he actually had just moved in. We had like a big party with some people who hadn't met him, my old friends, whatever, but just this beautiful party. And a week later, we were invited to go down to meet my friends, Kim and John, another John, same spelling too, just to not confuse. But they had invited us to go boating. They live in Wilmington. And so outside of Wilmington, there's this private island called Lee Island. And I'd been there with them before. And I was like, John, you've got to come check this out. It's Father's Day weekend. Also, my dad was a boat captain. I lost him 10, 11 years prior. And that was the first thing where I realized I could connect with loved ones that passed away, is that I woke up every day after my dad died suddenly to lyrics in my head, and some songs that I didn't listen to. They weren't like an association between us, but I would just get the lyrics and I go Google them. And this is before AI or any of that. And I would like have to keep searching. I'm like, no, that's not the one. And there'd be like messages in these songs for me. And so there were more.
They were coming from your dad, or you would just
awakening the 5 days after my dad. They were associated with me, my brother, my sister, my mother, his wife, it was clearly my dad. And I felt that energy very strongly. And I feel like I had a softer level awakening where I could feel energy in a way that I never had before. Like, it felt like the way I describe it, I would feel my dad as if the feeling when you're taking off in an airplane, right? It's like this G-force, kind of this grounded weight that feels comforting. And, I kind of let it be there. And he was very intense for a while. And there was definitely musical connections. Both my parents had been musicians. I always fought the training. But anyway, all this stuff is tying together. And so I told John about that. And when we talked about, if something does happen to you, he's like, I'd always communicate through music, because he and I had rebonded over music I hadn't listened to in like 20 years, like obscure bands. I was like, them too? Yeah. So of course, I'm like, the first thing we did the first night was share Spotify playlists. I'm like, all right, man, so you'll DJ from the other side, right? You're going to play the songs. That's what I thought that meant.
Right.
And that's probably what we both thought that meant at that point. But we kept getting more premonitions that there was a bigger purpose that we had. I thought it would be fulfilling it together. We both had anxiety. We both had all these different things that we're trying to kind of pinpoint what this could be. These messages we're getting. Never could have imagined that day he drowned, saving his son's life. And I'm going to sit with that for a minute, because I am in an okay place because of everything I've gone through. But the trauma of it at that time,
I could only imagine,
was like nothing.
But explain to the audience, because when you told me, it was really chilling, because
Yeah.
You guys were together, but then there was a time, even as you guys were at the beach, that you were separate. And when you were separate, that's
Yep.
when it happened. So how to
Yeah.
explain that?
I feel like I was absolutely divinely protected, or I might not have made it back alive because I would have jumped in and given my all. So the way this island is there's a whole sound side, and it's huge space for boats to dock, and there's people like playing music, kids playing, umbrellas, sun chairs, people having drinks, having a good time. There are no bathrooms on this island. There are no life preservers. Actually, one of the things I'd like to actually work on is if you have places people can go, there should be some life-saving devices but we were hanging out on the sound side until we were going to have lunch. And after that, maybe migrate over to the beach side. So it's this beautifully, unobscured beach area. You don't have the houses and a bunch of people, and it's wonderful. So
Right.
around the time we had finished up lunch, John said he was going to take his son to find a bathroom, as in find somewhere private for him to use the bathroom on an island with no bathrooms. And
Right.
then he stood at the end of the boat waiting for his son to get off the boat. And my other friend, Kim, she was like, let's go to the beach side. And her son suddenly doesn't feel well. So I was like, I'll just stay with him because John's going to go that way and you guys are going that way and he'll just come back by here. My brain said, I didn't communicate that with him, but John suddenly sent me a text message from the stern of the boat. And he said, I love you, Marcie. And I was like, and he looked right at me and smiled. And I was like, oh, you're just being funny. Like, we're right here. And yeah, I sometimes text people from other rooms of the house, but we don't normally text as we're facing each other. And I wrote back the words I would always say with him, which were different, was I adore you, which I felt like was a deeper kind of love. And it's a weird thing, but like, it just felt like different than the
Yeah.
loose, I love you, I
Makes
love
me
you,
think
I
of
love you.
Prince's Adore. Yeah. So
Yeah, there you go.
I adore you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I said, I adore you, John. You are my life. That
Mm.
was my last text message while he
Oh.
was live. He sent back a red heart, smiled at me again. He had just always had this little smirky smile that just felt like this angelic kid,
Yeah.
and they parted ways. So the rest go to the other beach side. They went a totally different direction. And I was just waiting there. And for a while, I was like, okay, is he coming back? What's going on? So I texted him one more time because clearly he left with his phone. Don't get anything back. I'm like, where are you? I even sent a picture from my vantage point. I'm like, I'm stuck a little bit here. Got a kid that doesn't feel well. And finally, I was like, all right, kiddo, we got to go. We got to go find them. And as I walked past like the brush, the dunes, it's not like a big hill or anything, but it's just
Right.
a clearing. And I remember that walk feeling like really draining because I'm trying to drag along a kid who doesn't want to even be up and going. And I
Yeah.
saw my daughter, Sophie, come running to me. And she just, I remember her words clearly just saying, something happened to John, Mom. And I'm like, what? And I look past her and I see my friend's husband and several other strangers doing chest compressions on John.
Oh my
I
God.
don't remember seeing his son. I remember Kim talking to me, but the visual of it is like she's just moving her mouth and no words are coming out. Like I can't remember it. But I ran to him and I remember like collapsing on my knees and I grabbed his arm and I just knew they're like pumping stuff out of him. And this is a very traumatic moment, but I heard his voice like echo through and around me and just say, go be with my son. I haven't left you. And I'm like, okay.
Got
So
chills
like
right now. Oh my God.
major activation moment, like I felt it. And then I will tell you, I completely blacked out. I don't remember this whole thing because we're clearly on an island. To get EMS there, to get anyone there, it's taking some time and effort. So some kind people actually put his son and I on a boat and we went across the mainland where they had an ambulance waiting because he had near drowning. I still haven't gotten the details of what happened. I just walked in all of this and my only priority was his son. I loved that kid. I couldn't even imagine what he had just gone through.
Right.
And that's my only focus. Well, my friends, they took the boat back. It was a rental to like go then drive over to us. And in that ambulance ride, I just had so much flooding through me, but all I could think of is like what he must be experiencing. He just lost his dad. I couldn't even put it on me. And I'm in a dripping wet bathing suit. They gave me, I didn't even have a towel. I had to get off a boat in the water. And they gave me some like baby sized towel and I'm just trying to dry off. Yeah. Oh, it was comical.
Oh my God.
And then I'm looking down, I'm like texting everyone, his mother, anyone from Raleigh, which is gonna be like a 2.5 hour drive for anyone to help us. So get there. And I have 6% battery. I'm like begging the staff while I'm trying to be there for like a charger or anything. Like that was all crazy and traumatic, but I felt some peace in me that I can't explain. And just to kind of go to the next level before we kind of go back and forth a little bit on this, I did. My ex-husband was gracious enough. He and his current partner, they came down to drive my car back. There was no way I was going to drive back home. And so we got back home safely. I come in and I'll tell you, John had a bracelet and it had his son's Roman numerals for his son's birthday on it and then his name on the back of it. And he showed it to me like in that first week of all the things, like, this is so meaningful. He never took it off. In the 7 months we were together, never, ever, ever to shower, to go swimming, anything. It was laid perfectly on my pillow when I walked in the house that night. And that opened up a whole nother, like, okay.
Whoa, you just gave me another chill. Now
Yeah.
that you didn't share with me before. That's like,
Yeah.
so, okay, wait. So, oh my God. So
you might want a heavy parka or jacket for this.
So he had taken it off before you guys left to go to the beach and put it on your pillow?
I don't know how it got there. I do not know. That's my point. Is like I had
never took it off.
I don't know.
Okay, so let me rewind, right? You're you're a Virgo sun and rising and a Cancer moon. What sign was John?
He was a Libra, but at the end cups, he's October 22nd. So
okay, so like 29 degrees. Wow. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Okay, so there's so much to get to. I do want to get to the chat because right off the bat, people may have questions just from you sharing this story. So let's get to the chat. Alana's here. And then I kind of want to get into, how from there you started to connect to John again, but on the other side.
That's the fun part here. Yeah.
So let me see here. We don't have any questions so far, but Quintella's here, and Pauline Berkosha and Miranda and GL 5.
Okay.
And then Cutie Paws is here.
Hey, you guys, welcome.
And so there's no questions.
Okay, so as we go along,
that's insane. Okay. Wow,
yeah,
that's insane. Is what Cutie Paws says.
Wild.
I think everybody's just taking this in. It's a really huge story.
So you have to kind of gather yourself in every way possible after that. You were not married, so you weren't like the stepmom. So the kid is back. And I'm sorry, what's his son's name?
It's Lucas.
Lucas. So Lucas is back with his mother, right?
Yes.
For you, how instantly did you start to hear John's voice or just feel his presence or connect with him in the 3D physical or in the 5D spiritual dream realm? Like, when did that begin for you?
So I feel like it was just as fast as us meeting from a lens of what it normally takes when someone crosses over and those connections happen. I did hear his voice and I thought I was going a little bit crazy when I touched his skin, where I felt he was not in his body. Like I've seen a couple people like at funerals and open caskets, and it used to give me terrible anxiety. I am now touching a man that I love and he's not there. But that's where it was like, it flooded me with this almost like, I'm going to wipe out your memory for the next little bit while you just have to go into mode of like robotically doing what needs to be done. But the bracelet sat there and I put it on and I was like, okay, like I'm going to just feel the energy of this. And I got out a notebook, which every once in a while I take notes in notebooks and it's a hot mess. It's never organized, but like, it wasn't something that I did all the time. I didn't journal any of that, but I'm suddenly like just feeling called to write stuff that was coming through me. And I will say, I feel like I embraced grief in this situation in a way that most people can't understand. Even when I try to explain it, they don't understand. I had news channels contacting me, did 3 different, coverage. Like one guy, I was like, I'm not going anywhere else. You can come to my house. Other people did it virtually. But they came out here, interviewed me. I had hundreds of people, like people I haven't even stayed in touch with, that hadn't talked in a while, like fascinated. Not like they felt bad for me, but there's also a fascination. Like, she already just left this marriage and that's who we knew. Now she met this other man. And now, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot for even other people to process more than me, which is the wild part. I've realized I'm just sharing something and people are like, whoa, I need.
Well, what about your daughter? How did that affect her? And did both of your daughters have a relationship with John?
They both did. And so the older one is the one, Sophie, that was there with us. The other one had a birthday party. She had decided to stay back. And interestingly enough, like she totally accepted John, but Sophie loved him. Like my older daughter, she was like, but the younger one had a distance thing. This was hard for her going through the split of her parents, as it is. I went through it too. And I always, even if I didn't like certain things about my parents, I wanted them back together. Like that's our natural state, right? That's the comfort zone, is that that's our family. So I knew she had a hard time. But that day, actually, the day we went down, he actually gave her the ride to the birthday party. And he came back so excited that she was like really like connecting, like, wait for me to like get in there, like protect, like he just came back glowing that he had a moment with her. So I know. And she's very, very deep. She's very intelligent. And both my daughters are very empathic, whether they play into it or not at early teen years at this time.
Right.
But absolutely, it was just a beautiful experience for him to have had that. So we wouldn't have been able to go with her anyway, because I have a Mustang with 4 seats and seatbelts. We had his son, my oldest daughter, and him and I that went down there.
Right.
Sophie's a trooper. She's gone through a lot of stuff, and she's one of those people I know who'll be able to sell anything and do anything that she wants to do. She's so creative. She's so talented, but she's also learned to have tough skin from feeling like the strong one that I was the firstborn in my situation, my family. I had to feel like I ended up feeling like I was responsible and I needed to take charge of everything else. And for some people, that can break them down into more anxiety and emotions. And other people, I think it builds some kind of like tough exterior that's like, you can't get past me. And I've been a little envious that she's developed more of that tough skin, where I was always the, what did I do? I got to fix this. And like, running in circles. So
Right.
I know that it was a huge impact for her, but she also just kept going. There are a couple things that have like shifted with her and the way she thinks about life, and understanding, again, life is short, but she's been absolutely incredible for everything that she's had to go through.
So this is fascinating to me, because you kind of hinted to it a little bit earlier, but you are coming from corporate, and so you were doing business branding and graphic art, graphic design and stuff. Share with everybody what your career was.
So that's the wild part about all this. I kind of need to go back to the fact that my parents, and I'll get into more of that as we kind of unfold, but my parents divorced when I was a certain age, and it was over financial things. And my brain I felt like I had such an idyllic childhood to a certain point that I was like, I'm not going to let this happen to my family. I'm, all the things we promised, like I'm going to break the generational curses without saying it back then, but I'm not going to do what they did. And so I actually did become very mainstream. I'm the kind of person who put self-imposed pressure to never make less than a B on a report card. And I graduated with honors from college and held that goal up. I started knowing I wanted to be in advertising or design or marketing like stuff, but like I was in AP art courses in high school for a couple of years, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. And I ended up walking into a sign shop. So I learned how to do the graphics for people's signage. I went and worked for Parks and Rec teaching art. I only spent about 3 months total in like service industry jobs that I thought would be fun. Like I worked at Jersey Mike's for a summer, but otherwise I've been doing design. And then I worked at a restaurant when I was 15 with a work permit that was close. It was like an O'Charlie's restaurant. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, because it doesn't exist anymore. But I ended up talking to them about my design skills, and they had me back then, before all the computer technology. I ended up hand drawing their new layout for their rearrangement of the furniture in the place. That's the way that I'm bussing tables, and I'm like, oh, I can do that for you. And I did. So like I knew I was going to do design. Both my parents, musicians, my mom, artistic, went to school of arts. So like I had this creative thing in me, loved music, but did not go that path. I was like, it's the design. I would sit home and I'd draw architecture plans. Like I just constantly drawing, painting, all that. So needless to say, I went straight out of school, was recruited over and over again, went to IBM for 18 years. I was there. And I went into user experience design, which, if people understand what graphic design is, it's more of the visuals, the brand stuff. I ran my business with that. But UX is more about the psychology behind it, understanding the people that are the users for a product, and how many times do we use a product. You're like, this doesn't do what I want it to do. Like I became such an expert in that, as well as visual design systems, and ended up being a senior leader, creative director of Watson AI Ops before AI was a thing, award-winning in this industry. And then when COVID opened up the door for people to work remote, I had the biggest companies beating down the door, and I narrowed it down to a position that was offered from Google and AWS. I chose AWS for the person that interviewed me being my peer manager, and I'd be a senior manager over a team of 12 working on developer tools, like more just technical things.
Right.
But like everything, I was offered this crazy sign-on bonus that right now I'm like, okay, that was wild what they did and they up-leveled me, everything. And I was kind of sure that I was going to retire. I kept my credit score good. I played the system. I did it right. And I was not going to repeat what my parents did as they were in their journey. And that all worked out. But after John died, I took a grief leave. And as it is, I was taken out to Seattle a week after I came back from that. And my GM told me that they suddenly have a return to office policy and asked me if I could move to Seattle or New York, like imminently. And I'm like, do you know what I just went through? Do you understand? No. And then I was kind of slowly pushed out of the business over the next couple of months and laid off. So
wow. So one thing I did not get, what year, when did John pass?
2023.
2023.
Yep. It was the 17th of June, 2023. And then the layoff from Amazon, just to give you the timetables, was early. Well, the announcement was February, but March of 2024. And then by this point, I'd already discovered some of this, but not the music side, just more of like that we're going to have this communication. And I know this is kind of going all over, but there were several losses that I went through, including my brother's death a month after I got laid off. So I knew that this was
one thing after another, another. And I'm sure emotionally, energetically, spiritually, you're probably extremely exhausted, zapped. When was the first time you felt at some sort of peace, and when was the first time you connected to John, like in a very clear way? So
dates may blur, but before I was let go from Amazon, I was getting all the messages that we were going to communicate somehow. And I even remember the day that was like, I knew he said to communicate through music. So I'm playing music, and yes, some songs would come on that made sense, but he kept telling me, no, it's something else. And I had never looked into EVP devices, but I'm like, how do people communicate? Like, so I'm just searching stuff and I suddenly see this. I was like, this isn't ghost hunting, y'all. Like, I'm not doing that, but like, I'm like open to anything. And I'm hearing like play music, like not play music, play sounds. Like I used hair dryers, leaf blowers, washing machine, water. And then I was suddenly told to, like, I just was taking, when I say told, I was like divinely guided to open up audio tools I've never used. Because I've been in design, I'm very familiar with Adobe products. So I have Adobe Audition built into my plan, never used it before, but I opened it up and start like moving things and clicking things, like just literally without, absolutely. But I started feeling like guided. It was like, do this, do that. I'm like, okay, whatever, this is weird. And so there was some exploration there where I felt like I was hearing him, but like it wasn't super clear. The moment that everything changed was when I had my personal computer, my work computer going, and I had some music playing. And if anyone knows, on your phone calls or Zoom calls, there's sometimes latency where like someone goes, like their voice flags out. So there was some latency and like signal issues with the Wi-Fi, and this music was playing. And suddenly I heard John say, Marcie. And so I put two and two together that it was the music through the background removal system that was going on with the tool and the latency. Don't know exactly which thing it is, because again, this is not my territory.
Right. You're like a newbie with it.
No, but I'm like, you're going to go down a rabbit hole. And I'm like, I know what I heard, and I want to make sure people don't think I'm crazy. So I'm going to go figure out what this is. And so again, more experimentation, more just listening. And I there's so many things, again, just like the trauma event, this flow that I went into is unlike anything I've ever done, where I was just like, I'm trusting, I'm saying yes, I'm submitting to what is being asked of me. And at that time, of course, it's exciting that I could possibly be creating something brand new that doesn't exist. And I thought, this is surely going to be okay. So I felt okay even when I got laid off, because I was like, I know what I have. But it was just one day right before my layoff, right after they told me I was going to be laid off, I heard make a song. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, what? I'm like, I've had GarageBand on my Mac for years. I've never opened it up except to record my youngest daughter singing one time. I was like, we got to get a recording of you. And so never used SoundCloud before, but my very first track on all of the songs I've made since is my daughter from many years ago. And you'll see I never used it again, didn't do anything. So I opened up GarageBand to begin with. That's not where I work now, but at the time, I listened to that song now and I cringe, but I had these recordings of his voice and mind you, we'll get into more of the other things, but there's always been this female ethereal voice that I now call Vanessa, supposedly some sort of light being, which is a whole nother interesting thing to me. But it's always been consistently them coming through. And I'm like, this is wild, whatever it is.
Now, Vanessa, there's no connection for you or John to a woman or that name Vanessa.
Oh, no.
And that sort of came through because you told me that John said she was from the Van Buren belt.
No, the Van Allen belts, which I don't know what that was. I didn't know what that was. I'm not a scientist or anything. Right. One of the messages said Van Allen belts. There was NASA mentioned, and my friend thought they said Vanessa. So she's just acquired a name. Then they would refer to her as Vanessa as the messages come through, which again, this is like hard to picture if you haven't experienced my world, but literally audible messages. And so I started calling her that. But then one day he said Van Allen belts and something about the signal working that way. So I started looking up the Van Allen belts, which I didn't know anything about. And there are actual weird audio recordings where they're like, they've gotten sound off of the Van Allen belts that sound like whales. Like it sounds like seawater. Yep. You can Google it. But again, I'm just going by divine guidance. I'm not taking my science classes and my music classes. Like I'm just listening to the weirdest stuff where, yeah, I'm sure people think I'm crazy. Fine, let them now. You know, at the time I'm like, no, I want to prove to you I'm not. But now I'm like, whatever. Right. So anyway, I listened to those sounds and I was like, that's the interesting part is that when they come through, sometimes they sound like, especially the Vanessa line, she sounds underwater. It's a very ethereal thing. And I'll give you guys some, samples of that tonight. Yeah. But what was interesting is like, I'm learning from the other side, not from here. And I met my now partner, Brian, who actually came in and helped me with a bunch of electrical things, other things. John was very handy, but he left a lot of things undone. And now I feel like there was an absolute purpose for it. And Brian came in. He was the first person I felt like I could talk to about this connection. I had people, like I said, coming in from the woodworks. And I was like, I'm staying in my bed. I normally don't do this. I'm like, I'm going into this grief. I'm going to be here. And I found like 50 people coming over and they were constantly like seeking my counsel. Like they were looking at me going, how can you be surviving this? And I'm giving advice to them when I'm like, who's really here for me? Thank you for bringing me a watermelon, which is a joke because John has shown himself in other ways than the audio. The man loved watermelon, made fun of me because I didn't like it. Right. And 4 days in a row, I had people come over here after he passed that were like, I felt like John wanted me to give this to you. And it's like a watermelon bath soap, watermelon candles. I'm like, okay, I know you're with me. Thanks.
Right. So you're getting those signs through things and you're just like, wait a minute. Oh my God. Okay. So before we get to the music, I do, I like to ask this of all my guests. Yeah. And it's really fascinating being a Virgo rising with the Virgo sun and that Cancer moon in the 11th house. You really can tap into music in a very powerful way and connect to, through the internet, and the frequencies, sensitivities. Cancer moon is the most sensitive. And I always tell my audience sensitivity, I think I might have just said it last episode, is not a bad word, right? You're really tapped into energy, frequency, and vibrations, right? And, who was the 10-year-old version of Marcie? And could you have ever imagined the big graphic career and then now this whole like other spiritual side and like a spiritual music producer, the musical medium? Like, did Marcie, like, who was she at 10?
So I go back to the way that we remember our history, right? And at different times, certain things are revealed, some things like they're dismissed. For whatever path we're on, I feel like certain memories are highlighted. The design path, absolutely. I was winning art contests as a kindergartner. Like my mom was an artist. Like it all flowed. When it came to music, my mom tried to get me to play piano, tried to get me to play flute, tried to get me to play violin. Those things lasted like a month of me going, how in the world can I learn how to forge my parents' signature to get out of practicing? Because I don't want to read sheet music, okay? I loved music, but I didn't want that. And I had no rhythm. I was looking at a video of me from 1989 with New Kids on the Block playing with my friends at a birthday party, and they were all like flowing. And I'm like, no rhythm.
That's all right.
So absolutely, no, I couldn't have imagined this. But the design side of it and the corporate career, that was like, I think I just put everything into that. And with that, I think I was just honored more for free flow. No one was telling me exactly how to paint or draw by number. It was more free. But my grandmother on my dad's side, she had this crazy organ. I don't know if you know like Mellotron is, like if y'all haven't heard it, look it up. But it has certain sounds that literally are some of the ones with synthesizers and digital synths now that I use that bring spirit through more audibly. And I remember believing that people were talking to me through it. And again, I'm like 5, 6 at that time. It's imagination. Yeah. My grandfather also owned like fleets of trucks and trucking industry stuff. So they had all kinds of crazy like ham radio type level stuff, CB radios, shortwave radios. And I remember like a few times that I'd go visit them and I'd have this radio out. And actually I got one that was just like a cheesy version right here, but like this style where you actually tune in to the stuff manually. And I would flip it back and forth on these shortwave things. And it wasn't just like clear talking. It just felt like things were being put together. So I had these things that now I did not remember or associate that I cut that off. That now makes sense that, yeah, maybe at one point I did know that I was going to do this, but that was very far in the distance, like gone, right? But yeah, I never could have imagined this. And actually I was extremely like insecure and embarrassed to first, I was like, I've got this magical discovery. I'll just find somebody who understands it. They're going to want to research it, do the technology side of this. Did not see myself being an entrepreneur, building a business. And even when I shared the music at first, it was like, check out what I'm doing. It's kind of a fun hobby. And then people were like, Marcie, you don't know what that song just did for me. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even see it. And I feel like I have a frequency tolerance built up, but John's voice and being a trusted source kept me going to the point where I suddenly am this, and there's no time to figure out, do I want to do this? It's like, I'm already there. So
you were sharing music with friends, and for them, the response was like, it's making them feel better or heal their stress or anxiety or anything. Like
the nuance would be only a couple actual friends that I share this with, because it was so different from who I was. That some people just thought she needs some extra time to grieve. She should see a therapist, right?
She's just going through a little period right now.
Right. I don't believe in what you're doing. Like, what is wrong with you, Marcie? Go back to being who we know you to be. Who was the person who took care of all of them? And like, I'll pay for everything. No, like this was a whole reinvention, stripped down to the studs and said, go take this weird thing forward. I'm like, oh, okay. Wow. But I met people through a couple different things that just started popping up on my feed that I'd never seen before. It's before I realized there was actually a collective awakening going on. And I was getting ads for like conscious coaching. And do you have a spirit led? I was like, oh my gosh, they're talking to me. And I kept hearing invest, even audible invest. So I did. And I feel like that helped me make connections and get a little bit more confidence that, wait, this is actually going on with not what I have discovered, but other people are open to this. And they're not the way maybe 20 years ago, I looked at most people that were talking spiritual and they did seem like they were just out there, hippies on the mountain. Like it was very different from my reality. And now I'm going, oh, these are a bunch of people who've just recently lost their corporate jobs. Their life has suddenly changed. They've gone through trauma. So that's kind of the transition, was making those connections. And when I shared it with them, they were coming back just some people acting like they're like, oh my gosh, those frequencies, like people are telling me that their physical pain went away, that they were able to completely stop thinking about things. One of the women in there has a PhD in music, has worked with neurodivergent children, used music for therapy. And she said she had done it so much that she actually couldn't listen to music anymore, but she listened to my tracks. And she goes, I also judge. I sit there and I'm like articulating it from a music standpoint. She goes, your music, I lose myself in it. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but like, it's the only music I can listen to now. And I don't judge it. I just experience it. And so I was like, these were beautiful user testaments, like for me, that I wasn't expecting when I was sharing it. You know, I was just like, hey, I'm putting something out there, kind of wild, but.
That's really powerful. So let's see if we have any questions, and then let's hear some music, because I think it'll be really fascinating, not only to connect to John and Vanessa, but for you to play stuff that, you know, I guess for you, you consider, or you've heard from other people, that it's been extremely healing. Because now I just want you to share briefly real quick, because you share, you offer different packages to help people. So explain that, like in terms of like making music for clients that can be frequency healing for people.
Yeah, and so again, I've connected with a lot of people, and it's been wonderful. Like I actually really love that the internet exists and the ways that we can connect. It's also been a wild world and entrepreneurship because when I ran a business before, it was all local word of mouth, and it was something very clear. I can brand your business, right? Like everyone knows what to search for. Until people experience this, they don't fully comprehend it. So if you haven't experienced the concept, you try to compartmentalize it into what you know. And I have to explain to people this is not spa meditation music. This is genre bending stuff that if I try to make it, it suddenly turns into hip hop or rock or like dark electronic. Or one song, my partner was like, is this Bjork? Like it's all over the place what comes through.
I love
And that's
Bjork.
actually the beauty. That's the beauty of it. I'm like, I can't categorize it. I put it all into the category of intuitive flow. And it's actually something I want to teach people is more of this. And starting with when I do live builds versus building my stuff, I'll use a synthesizer and everything else. But in live builds, I just use pre-existing loops from an application. And I want to teach more people that. But as you started talking and asked me a question, I didn't hear what you said because this is how spirit works. I have the tabs lined up for a few things I'm going to share. And one of my tabs just started playing audio over you talking, which is the actual proof of afterlife video I made from the early recordings before the music. And for whatever reason,
then let's go to that one first. Let me just let
yeah.
Alana check in the chat to see if there's any questions before we transition to the music.
So I think people are kind of blown away.
Yeah.
Miranda said, wow, tragically beautiful story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Searching Al is here.
Hey, Searching Al. Hey, Miranda.
Cutie Paws says, thank
Cutie
you for
Paws.
sharing your story. Evelyn is here.
Hey,
Vinyl still works. Ooh, hello,
Evelyn. That's my partner. That's Brian.
Oh,
all right.
Okay. I was going to say.
I like that name.
He's
Vinyl still works. Brian knows. I love it.
And then we have Eden. Eden Garden, who's having a good evening. And
welcome,
Cutie
Eden.
Says, so when you listen to other types of music, can you feel the energy from it?
Oh.
I'm actually glad that question is asked because I know we're jumping all over and Eric and I can end up in a 3-hour conversation and it's like ADHD brain. So thank you all for the scattered thoughts. I realize now in the sense that I was able to do that stuff with that organ or hear stuff and sounds that other people didn't hear. I have a gift that I also thought was a curse that would give me anxiety. I loved music. I had a huge, like back in the day, if you're dating yourself at all, like in the range I am, CD books that I'd carry around in the car, and I had my 5-disc changer, and I would line up what I have. But sometimes I'd have a song that I loved, and it would just do something for me, and so I'd play it over and over again. But when I would be driving around, picking up my friends, with each person in the car, I could feel and hear the music the way they heard it. This is now where I said I feel energy. I also was teased for making up lines to songs, but it wasn't the way that people just try to pretend to know the lyrics. This was like, I heard those words. I would play it again. I'm like, no, I still hear those words. And I was hearing different layers of things. But yes, my sense would turn to, oh my God, this song is terrible. And it's a song I just listened to 40 times and I felt good, but they're hearing, it's almost like I would read the energy of how they felt about it. And then I was really, really good at going ahead and selecting exactly what music would put us both in a good vibe and aligning energies with that. So if that kind of leads into like why maybe this is what I do, even when I do collective live builds where I do like an actual track build live, I feel the energy of the room. And some of those songs are the ones I don't like because I'm actually just hearing through other people's energy. May not make a lot of sense to some people, but I've understood this more as what led me to all this. And I could always feel the energy. Now I can't get anywhere without John through sound because I've done this work for so many thousands of hours that I'm like, hey, Brian, can you wash the dishes? Because I don't want to hear him talk through the water. Like I'm very sensitive to this energy in any sound that you give me. So.
Okay, so let's I'm going to open up the share and let you kind of share some stuff with the audience because I think everybody wants to hear LovEvolve music.
So here's the thing I'm asking you that just got led to me because I have several tabs up to share, but I think for people before they even hear the music, because you guys don't know John, it's different. And that's one thing I have to realize, like for me, the emotional connection to knowing it's John's energy and his voice is big. But if no one's ever met John, then they need to first. And so the ironic part is the one day that he started just sharing his heart to me, and he said he knew God had a bigger purpose for us. I got it recorded and I didn't know why.
Okay, you got to hit the screen share and then it will come up.
I just given the preference. So I'm being guided for the video that I've already shared with you, Eric, to share this. That was something I put together before the music where I was just getting this from different sounds. And I made a compilation video and I put it together, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys right now. I'm going to stop it at like 3 minutes in because the rest is just watching me play around with the tools.
Yeah.
But there were very clear messages. And in those early days, he brought my dad through, my friend Nick, my grandfather, just to kind of basically say hi. And then I was like, still trying to figure this out because like, why is it always you and this Vanessa? But there were other people in these recordings that I got early on. And we'll just share that so you guys hear his voice, hear what he was saying when we were together. And before you hear the music, you'll recognize his energy in the music. Okay. So
yeah.
Pray and I thank God for you every day, because think about this. God turned this off, right? And it was his way of not only timing the relationship and connection that you and I have built, but it's his way of saying, you know what? I need you two to come back to me in our own ways and build our separate relationship with him so that we can build our relationship together. And if it wasn't for you, I don't know where my relationship would be with God. Because it was so far away from him. That's why I'm thinking every day for you. And not just for you, but for the sole fact that I truly believe that he brought us together because he wanted us.
So I'm gonna pause that there.
Wow.
I'm not going to share this other video, but I'm going to pull the screen up about the psychic sketch for everyone just to see one still. Just need to change the share real quick, and then we'll move over to the music. So this is a video if you guys want to check it out, just to understand more about like our relationship when he was together. But for now, can you see that? Is that coming up? Eric, is that showing up for you?
Yeah, now here we go.
All right. So this was the sketch that was done several years before I met him, for everyone to kind of anchor in on some details that are like hard to not be aligned there. So
Wow.
and the first thing I think I'm going to do with music is play a video, and then we'll get into more of like my actual like digital audio workstation stuff. But let me share that one with you guys. If you have headphones, I do a lot with bilateral stimulation. I do more things from the thousands of hours and the 400 plus tracks that I've made that help with like panning, bilateral stimulation.
Yeah, if you guys want, grab your headphones and put
Yeah.
them on. I won't, so because I have Alana here, so she could hear. And I've heard stuff. But yeah, you guys, this would be a good time if you have headphones to put them in. It's really quite powerful.
So this is to say, can you guys see the screen now with this,
Yeah.
Eric? Okay.
Yep.
So this is just a little fun video. Again, background graphic design and video work stuff. I just sometimes put things together to have fun. So I'm gonna actually mute myself so everyone can hear this. And
我12日的到到我30的日的。All around this house, the dogs have dual loads. Can you hear me?
Wow. So that was pretty clear hearing Vanessa's voice. Where'd you go?
She's gone.
Okay. So she'll be back. So that's really fascinating.
She,
Hearing Vanessa's voice. I don't know if could you guys hear Vanessa's voice come in? And John, sometimes I feel like I can make out words, sometimes I can't, but sometimes I feel like he's speaking like almost like another language or something, you know?
And it absolutely is. Like I said, if you heard, one of the things I've learned, a lot of people even that have tried to do spirit communication, they are waiting in their logical thing, like, why aren't they speaking clear English? Like, you know, I can do a lot of things, but like it is an effort for them. And this is one of the biggest messages or things I've gotten is that spirit language is, obviously we speak all these different languages across the globe.
Like when we speak light language, yeah.
Right. But instead of it, like light language is a little bit more simplified down on this. There will be times that his accent shifts, sounds German, sounds Asian, sounds European.
British,
When I
British,
actually, first guy I dated that had a little bit of a Southern twang, I weirdly, just as a funny note, was like, I would be not attracted to guys with it. Because my dad, if you heard my dad in the little clip there, he had a very strong Southern accent for whatever reason. I'm living in North Carolina and I wanted to neutralize my voice. And sometimes people will be like, Marcie, you say high school. And I'm like, no, like it was just weird. But yes, he was the first man that I was like, I accepted his voice, but that doesn't come through as much as like all these different variants. And I've had people, like hundreds of thousands of people listen to my music on SoundCloud, and people are like, you speak Portuguese? You speak German? I'm like, no. They're like, I heard my language in there. And he's explained that this is the root language. So again, you know, there's actually not need for words, but when we're in our true form, the language is the combination of all this. And I've actually heard a lot, learned a lot about the neurodivergent diagnoses that are happening for adults that are recognizing it now, and all the kids that are coming through this next generation. They are equipped to maintain more of that connection, because what is the best way to break generational patterns? For God to evolve and build children that can't follow in that path. Their emotions, their wiring, their logic is different. And so I know that we're still in antiquated systems that aren't honoring that, and there's not going to be enough special
Change
needs.
is coming. It's coming.
Right, right. Not enough special needs support to house the amount of kids that are coming through with this. But these kids are very like psychically connected. They really are. And it's hard for any of us in our generational things to accept the changes. But
I'll tell you this though, I see it more for Alana and I. We have Gen Z boys, and then we have the Alpha. Alpha is like the, you know, like kind of 14 and a half, almost 15 and younger.
Yeah.
And so our twins are, you know, just turned 12 and a half in February, and they're very different from the older two.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that the Alpha, and then even now these young, you know, Pluto Aquarius babies, the betas that came in ever since 2024, November 19th, they are on a different frequency and vibration, but I truly feel like it's their first time here. I don't know where they're coming from, but I feel like it's their first time here. And it's powerful the way that they maneuver through every aspect of life. But things are not... because my wife and I joke about it. It's almost like certain things for them are not intuitive in terms of like how to do earthling things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of I talk about it all the time.
So I actually do believe that. And even with the verbal communication levels and the different tiers, one of the things that I bring up is that John's son was the first child I knew that was on the spectrum. I'm like, this isn't autism like you hear it painted out there. This kid is brilliant. He absolutely is brilliant. He's completely tapped into something deeper, and he would just have like very puzzling ways he'd explain something, but they were like prophetic. And he had even mentioned a month to the day before John died. I remember him emotionally shifting and him kind of clinging to me and saying, I only came to this earth for him, but he's going to leave me. And we kind of lightly, you know, tried to dismiss and like, not dismiss him, but like,
he said this out loud,
and he wouldn't, and he loved his dad, but he wouldn't go to him for a minute. He was clinging to me. And I'm like, no, John, this is something way deeper, way deeper. And so I think that even in the sacrifice of John saving his life, there's a lot to be uncovered about what's going on there. And before we jump over to some more of the demo stuff, I've had a couple, this is where I ultimately, like, I have to gain the parents' trust first before I can be like, hey, I've got this music for your kid, because we're protective. But, you know, I had two nonverbal kids, like parents of nonverbal kids, who one is 13. I'll just focus on that one because I could go down a bunch of rabbit holes here. But I told her to try this because she's like, hey, he's having all these different behavioral problems. I don't know what to do. And now he's getting bigger, like he's my height, you know, and that's a whole nother level than the small child. And he makes sounds, but there's never been a single word articulated. And I was like, please just get these headphones. And I recommend inexpensive headphones. I actually I had some really expensive headphones from my current partner, Brian. I was like, no, I'm going to do this where what people hear, I can recommend some good headphones for them that aren't that expensive. Got the headphones, gave her a track to listen to. She put the headphones on her son's head, and she said he suddenly was like pointing, like he was hearing his own language. So what I've gathered is the more nonverbal, the more attached they are to that. So they're like seeing this world is almost like they're playing the VR level with like grease on the lenses, right? And headphones blocking them from hearing. And so it'd be like, hey, man, let's go ahead and finish this whole conversation out using only 3-letter words. What does your brain do when I say that? We're not going to make it very far if you're just like, dog, out, like, I'm not going to try. And so if you are coming from a much more complex system and that's how you're wired, you can't articulate here, and you learn how to just go ahead and keep that connection. So I know there's a lot of work that I really want to do to help parents understand, but her son grabbed her, started hugging her, kissing her. And the beautiful part is I even do have a small clip that I can play of this. This is where I say I think all these kids are absolutely tapped in for deeper purpose. Her two-year-old son picked up the phone and started filming. Like the phone was on the ground. Maybe she was letting him play with it while they were listening, whatever. Picked up the phone and filmed the moment where she started to have more of a telepathy connection to her son. And he mouths out, I love it. Like, it's not like perfectly clear, but you just can't make this stuff up. And so this is like a 30-second clip I do want to share, and then we can get over to more of the demos or more of your questions on things. But I'm feeling guided just to share this as an example, because I'm like, you can't make these kind of experiences up. And I'm like,
okay, you got to hit the share button.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually, I can't get the video to pop up right now. So maybe we'll move on from that, and I'll send the link out with whatever you want to do for follow-up. It's not loading for some reason.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to build a track now? Actually, hold on. Let's pause for a second and see if there's any more. No, any questions? No. Okay, yeah. And if you guys are curious about, different things that you may potentially use for yourself or your children that Marcie makes in terms of if you have stress, anxiety, depression, different things, why don't you, everything's down below in the description, but tell them your website and how people can contact with you, but also what type of music do you actually create for individuals that can be custom to help them with their different maybe health or anxiety or stress issues?
Yeah, so currently I'm actually working on building some journeys and blends of certain tracks that hit within a certain frequency range. And I'm about to launch this like next week with basically some 20-minute flows that are like 3 to 4 or 5 of my songs that are going to blend together like you're just listening to them in the club, but like they're spirit healing tracks. And some are going to be more for your spiritual coffee, your energizing state. Some are more flow state. Some are more like sleep state, whatever. And I will be sharing more of that. But the video loaded as you were just asking that. So I'm going to go ahead and it's like 30 seconds. I'm being guided to just share that really quickly. And then, yes, when I custom build a song, I don't ask you or anyone, what kind of music do you like? Let me make it sound like this. You can go out there to buy something on Soundfinch or these other things. I don't know what they all are, but Songfinch, something like that. And you can have somebody like you write all the lyrics and they'll build the track. This is a complete channel state that I go into where what comes through has the medicine. And then I will actually then go back. And if I've had a consult with you and you've said, I'm having problems with sleep, or I'm having problems with this, or this is what I believe my key pain points are, I will then also master and emphasize frequencies within those ranges. So it's like there's the channel factor of this journey that you get. And then I actually do master things in a way that elevate the things that we already know about.
And let them know your website and how they can.
So you can go to electricblueunited.com. Again, I've got a tie-in of LovEvolveMusic and Electric Blue, and Electric Blue is more of the masculine energy of the two things I've got going on. LovEvolve is the music, that feminine expression, and I don't mean like it's all feminine music. It's just more of that side of the duality, which is one of the biggest things I've learned about through all this. And then Electric Blue United is more of my still, hey, you don't have to throw away all your business skills. You're just not working in corporate anymore, Marcie. But I help people with a 21-day system where I'm giving them 21 days of song recommendations with exercises that neuroscience backs on. As you listen, you do this. Like sometimes if you haven't tried this before, listen to my music or any kind of music, but draw with your non-dominant hand. It shifts things for you. So there's just different exercises each day. But then I do 3 90-minute sessions where I help people, if they want to build a business, they have a purpose-driven business, and they're like, I'm over here and there. I help you build your niche. I help you gain clarity. And not just on what's going to make you money, but like, are you really actually targeting the person you want to spend your energy on, your efforts? And is your offer something that you think just is because it would make money? Or are you doing what you would love if you had this client come in every single day? So I really help people nail that clarity. And then in the second session, I help them build their voice and tone and their brand. Again, I've run brand design businesses and I can help you, but I don't do it for you anymore. That is one of the biggest messages I've gotten is like, I'm not supposed to sell those things I used to just make for people. I'm supposed to enable them. And with AI and combination, I will still help you with here's the export of all the different file types you need, but I help you build your graphics. So you're like, that's me, that's it. And then I'll clean them up. And then the final stage of that is I help people build a website. And again, I use the AI technologies that I know how to do. So you build it and it's in a tool that you can easily update. So you didn't just spend, because I don't know about anyone else who's on a purpose-driven path, but I've pivoted so many times. And if I was paying someone to build my website and I just spent $5,000 getting it set up, and then I'm like, oh, that's not the right path. What do? Spend another $5,000? So what I do is help people build with confidence based on this niche. Here's your site, here's your offerings. And if for some reason you A/B test things, you realize one thing's working over the other, I can show you how with just like natural language, now that I've helped you build the design system and the voice and tone into it, hey, I need you to change this, or here's an announcement for something coming up. Boom, it's updated like that. Okay. So I'm using
electricblueunited.com. Okay, so click the screen share and let's.
Yeah, so this is just that short clip that I wanted to share that she sent to me. And I just thought it was beautiful, especially when you see it's a 2-year-old filming. This isn't stage, but this is right after they had listened and she had not bonded with her son like this. She'd been frustrated. So.
You got this. We're just gonna activate. Life's gonna get 10 times better for you. Your purpose is here. I see it. I know it. I feel it. Okay. I see you. I see how damn special you are now. Good. It's like mommy finally understands, baby. Oh.
So that's it. Like I said, short and sweet, but powerful.
Yeah, I love that. So you want to do the track build or play another song or
Yeah. So when I actually do live builds, and I've got an event coming up on the 19th, I'd love for you to share that with your audience if they want to come attend that. I actually have a panel of experts I've paired up with that are been in the industry with sound healing for 20 some years, and they love what I'm doing, and we're all combining our efforts for me to do an actual live build. Now, when I do those, they take about 30 minutes and you're in the loop and the flow, and I filter that. I've set up a smaller demo for this audience because we don't want to just put everyone to sleep before we wrap up. Because a lot of people do feel very relaxed after these things, or very introspective. So I'm just going to demonstrate just the first level with some loops that I have together on the difference in the feeling. I call it like frequency DJing. So I'm going to turn some different things on and off for you to hear how I open up sounds from normal production into this kind of more hollow, which some people, especially musicians, they sometimes struggle. They're like, oh, the production's weird. I'm like, yes, because we have gotten used to making everything polished and clean. And I do want to just explain one thing that I'm being guided to share is that I have a TV. It's an older TV. I thought the speaker's just bad. We have to turn it up to like 90 to listen to TV shows. So you think that you've got bad speakers or bad physical equipment, but actually it's the digital programming and any of the things. Our computer ends at a certain point. The volume control ends at a certain point. This isn't about volume, it's about frequency. So one day I actually, for whatever reason, was trying to play my stuff through the TV speaker, had it connected, and at volume 11, it was clear. It sounded actually pretty good. I was like, these speakers aren't that bad. Later, my partner Brian and I go to watch a movie, and he's like, what's wrong? He's hitting the mute. I was like, it's not muted. What's going on? And then we checked the volume. We still had to turn it back up to 90 to hear the show.
That's a big difference from 90 to 11. Oh my God.
Absolutely. So what I'm doing is actually shifting frequencies in a way that will break volume control on a physical device. So there's a whole nother level before that. And I want you to hear a couple sounds. That's what I'm going to demonstrate with my initial mastering. So I do all this stuff initially in a tool, but then I export it. And that's my kind of patentable process, my proprietary process, is where I then go clean that up. So I'm almost like looking for voice isolation from instruments, which seems so crazy and backwards. So a lot of times in my production, I treat instruments like voice. And then even when I sing, a lot of times I treat voice like an instrument. So I make it more of a layered texture within things. So I'm just going to play. First, I'm going to start with like a sound. I just stacked these. Actually, Eric and I were in the call before this, and I quickly just auto selected some sounds, but I'm going to just shift between them maybe for a few minutes where you hear everything kind of open. So what you're looking at right now is like one sound, and then the sound with my initial filtering on it, same way all the way down.
And this is Soundtrap, right?
Yeah, this is Soundtrap. What's cool about Soundtrap is this is where I want to be able to teach people who think they can't make music. I want to show them that they can. It's one of the things I want to, I've already worked with kids that are like, "Ooh, I made a song." So I can help you with the intuitive flow and how to match things.
My boys loving that.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things I'm really excited about, where you're not having to overthink and build something. So if you just take existing loops, but you play with all the different mastering options that are out there, you can take a sound and make it sound completely different, and lots of cool things. But I'm just going to like play for a minute here. That's what I call it. And I'm going to show you just for a minute before I kind of get going, just this one sound that would be kind of zeroed out, like where production might put it. Obviously, producers are going to make this sound better. But my point is about the level that this is supposed to sound like, and then what I do to open up that space. And so opening up the space, then filtering it for voice is actually what brings back the vocals. They use the beats, the patterns, the sounds to create their voices, because clearly in spirit, you don't have vocal cords. So start here. So if you hear right here, the difference in this drum, where it feels the more bass heavy, and this, where it feels more echoey, more like someone's bouncing a basketball. These are kind of differentiators that people typically are like, that doesn't sound right. But by doing that and then filtering it through the process that I do, that's where spirit comes back, is in all the stuff that our normal production says, yeah, that's not right. And I have another song I'm going to pull up where I want everyone just to hear the song. And then I'll share how, like, I take the entire thing out. I run it through this process that I've developed that's proprietary. And what comes back is that John and Vanessa line. And you'll hear both of those. And I'll isolate them. Eric, did you want to tap into the chat at all? I just want to demonstrate the difference in the same.
Are you going to leave this share or no?
I'm just going to switch over to the next tab. So
yeah, we don't have a lot of comments. I think
Okay,
we'll
yeah.
just really,
If you guys have
it's
any
a lot
questions,
to take in,
yeah,
and
they're just
I
kind
know.
of
typical
This has been my life.
about Chiron in the. in
But
the
you
12th house.
guys, she's Pluto Libra, right? And that's really fascinating. And I felt like you have something in Leo in your 12th house. It may have been your Mercury and Venus. I'm not too sure. You know, but this is sort of the 12th house hidden talents, right? The entertainer coming out, where before you were kind of more business graphic design.
Yeah.
You know, now you're kind of bringing out these hidden talents in the spiritual realm, you know, and I think that that's really fascinating.
Absolutely. And so one of the interesting things about this is, like, it is like a live spirit line. And for a long time I was like, I'm embarrassed. I'm going to talk about this, like, nervous system and anything corporate and businessy. But tonight I'm not. I'm like, this is the truth. I have a technological process. This isn't some woo-woo thing. I'm not making up stuff. It is literally a process that can be repeated consistently. And so what I've developed, again, has further development when I have, like, developers I can trust to actually build it out. But what I want to show you is how I take the entire track now. I'm not going and getting, a lot of people ask these questions like, where do you get your recordings? I'm not recording sounds anymore. I'm literally taking the instruments, the layering, where I already feel the energy is, and I'm treating it like it's already a voice with background noise. So hearing spirit talk, it sounds a lot like you're in a really busy club or restaurant and you're trying to listen to people like a few booths over say things, and there's lots of fast talking going on, so it's deciphering it down. But this song, I'm just going to play one time through, Eric, and then I'm going to remove the actual music from it. This is something I just made this week. I shared with Eric this week. I have 3 different layers of ways that I bring this through. First, spirit layer is a little bit weaker. Then I do this multiple times. I don't expect anyone to understand the technical side.
Right. And you guys, she also has Neptune and Sagittarius in the 4th house, right? Being a Virgo rising. And so that kind of brings in, you know, kind of through. Now, your mom, you said you were more, she had more of the musical gifts than dad?
No, both my parents musically
both of them,
inclined.
okay.
My mom had more of the visual arts side, but they both, like, she pushed me through life.
Yeah. And that's
We're not going to go down that whole path.
That's that Neptune side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, my dad actually had a band at some event he opened up with, like, the very first starter of Jimi Hendrix. He went to see the movie MASH with Jimi Hendrix. Like, both my parents were in music. And I mean, like, my mom was the first children's entertainer in Raleigh, where we couldn't go anywhere without her being recognized as the local celebrity. And my sister was doing open mic nights at 15 with original songs. And my brother knew how to play the piano like crazy. And I was like, nope, not doing it. So that's the wildest part.
Well, you eventually got here, just in a different way.
Absolutely did not expect this. But if I had learned the way that I learned how to make straight A's or A's and B's, the way that I learned how to build my design stuff was that I followed the rules so perfectionistically, hey, Virgos, right? That, you know, if I had actually followed learning, I would beat myself up if I wasn't doing it right, and I wouldn't have discovered what I have. So there's that.
All right, let's hear.
So I'm going to play this through one time, and then I'm going to actually play the filtered tracks. As you see, these down here are the spirit levels of the process I have, and you'll just get to hear what that raw audio sounds like. But I want you to hear it in the music first. So.
Like drunk funk. What happened? You there?
We already got some crazy static, and Eric, as I was mentioning, you sometimes I've overloaded the system because of how much energy I'm bringing through this.
I was going to say, you just
as wild as it is, it's certain to static. But I actually am planning on I'm going to be selling this track for like $23 when I'm done and posting it, so you can share that with your audience. I do want to see if I can get the raw audio in here. If not, I can open it up in Audition so I can show you guys how I actually listen for the messages, and maybe that's even the better way to go. But I'm going to see if it plays in here real quick before we just transition out. And
yeah, you could hear John in there. And
absolutely.
I want to tell you something pretty deep too. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the sign before us, we teach life lessons to. So as a Virgo, you would teach life lessons to Leos, but the sign after you learn life lessons from Libras.
Oh, I learned a lot of things.
And John's a Libra. You're
John and my mother, and different ways of learning life lessons.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to let you know that.
I do have a question from Miss Cutie Paws. And she
says,
a
little louder.
Okay, sorry. I do have a question from Miss Cutie Paws, and she says, when you're making the music and the source connects, do you enter a flow state?
Oh, 100%. I'm in a complete channel when I'm doing this, and it's honestly the blessing with everything I had to let go of, everything I went through, is that the music I'm making is what has saved me, what has helped my nervous system regulate. I had generalized anxiety disorder, everything else. What I can do with this music, I just go in and I just trust, and that's why I can do live build. Even if I just use pre-existing loops, I just know what to choose, what to do. It just comes through me. And I have very specific tracks, and I'm actually putting together, like I said, a couple packages of like building stuff out. My current partner, Brian, used to DJ. He's going to help me do some mixes where they fluidly flow. But there have been people who have reported getting twice as much done in the length of time they're used to by just turning my music on while they do their work. And
so helping with productivity. I like that.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, and if you don't mind, I'd like to know, do you ever make music, and maybe you're kind of alluding to this, music for specific purposes, like help people lower their blood pressure, help people regulate this, as you just said, productivity or concentration?
Yep.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm working on 4 different tracks. When I say tracks, I'm working on 4 different collections. They're basically about a 4-track set for specific things. So if it's, you don't want to be hearing one of my like get up and dance songs in the middle of trying to rest. So I'm putting the different tempos, the different things, the different frequencies together to build like a natural flow where it doesn't also just like begin and end, but it transitions clean, just like you would hear somebody like mixing tracks together in a way that you want to hear them, not just here's one song, then the next. And so we're working on 4 of those specific for different needs right now, that should be out by next week. So absolutely.
Okay.
If you go to my SoundCloud page and you look at any of my tracks, in the description, it breaks down the frequencies, the harmonics, the different angles at which each of these tracks like helps people. So
And that's down below, but let them know, what is the SoundCloud site?
so it's just soundcloud.com, but like look up LovEvolveMusic, and it's LOVE, just one E, putting the words together, VOLVE.
Yeah.
And make sure you put in LovEvolveMusic, not just LovEvolve.
Okay.
So yeah. So I'll see if this plays from here. If not, I'm going to open up Audition just for them to hear the raw audio, and then we can kind of return back to, wrap up conversation and what have you. So this is what it sounds like after I've filtered it. I drop it back in where he fits nicely, but this is hearing all the different layers of that. Let me actually turn this automation off, which is something that I can put back in for the actual recording, but this is what it sounds like, and I'm just gonna let it flow. Then I'll talk about how I actually get clear messages from this root language. So if you can hear that right there, that is from, again, John comes through well on bass, but you can hear what they're using to speak is actually the instruments. So if I go up here to this bass riff that I put in here, just put it back in here for a minute. And back here.
Love that, babe.
So those, I'm sorry, let me ask a question.
Yeah.
So those voices right there, that's not something that you, Marcie, created in the program.
No.
It's John.
No.
Wow.
That's the part. This is the hardest part about bringing something like this to the world. Not to sound like I'm like, hey, to everyone who's known me and I have my reputation of being corporate and mainstream, this is weird, but people can't comprehend it until they've experienced it. And even people that have watched me work don't understand it, but they've experienced it and they know it's real. So I am literally, again, we like on a Zoom call, you have a background removal tool so your dogs and your kids don't make noise, right? So imagine this is kind of like a reverse of that. The technology I have developed, literally a technology, not just my own channel, not my creation. I just take the instruments that I layer, that I feel John and spirit energy in, and then I run them through a process I've developed that is like background removal. So there's no voices in it. It's just instruments layered a certain way, elevated a certain way with frequencies. And what comes back is this.
Wow. That's amazing.
So again, it's hard to be like, hey, like to explain it because again, our brain can only comprehend.
Well, you know
what
what
it's
it
familiar
reminds
with.
me of? It's very much what we're going through right now, Mercury retrograde in Pisces,
Yeah.
right? Because it's communication in the ether, in the spiritual realm,
Yeah.
that is imaginative, and creative, and spiritual.
Yeah.
That's exactly, what's happening right now in the planetary energies. And of course, we're doing this on a, total Virgo lunar eclipse. So it's perfect. So
Yeah.
it's just like, it's really heavy. Now, did you also have Vanessa on this one too, or no?
I'm actually going to play Be Magic, which is one of the ones that she was intensively heavy in. That's where I learned that her audio comes through stronger. So Vanessa, if you look at the 3 tracks that are on the screen, the top was her level versus John, and then the combination that I make below. So if I use more like piano and flute and those sort of sounds, she comes through way more clearly, and he's comes through more on the bass and the drums and all the like.
Yeah,
and
which makes sense. I mean,
yeah. And what's interesting is I've had other people I've made tracks for who they hear their deceased loved ones. They know and hear their tone, not clear words, but like, oh my gosh, is that my mom? Is that? And I was like, I don't know what your mom sounds like, but if you're feeling it, feel it, right?
Yeah.
But he registers a solid G, her C. And if you look at how music is tuned and what the popular stuff is, C, G. And I feel like the biggest thing I've gotten from it is that we all have a very unique, like if you were to tune things in better than just a radio dial, frequency signature. And so just like a phone number, what I've gathered is the work that could further this, or if I get the research behind it to help me filter this, even like tuning the pitch of something, that if anyone sent me music, the goal would be that I develop the technology that isn't me hiding this behind the scenes, but here's a one-click button I don't have to hide, where you can take your music and put the same mastering into it, run the same filter on it, and then turn a dial till you feel and hear your loved one's energy. That's actually where this is going, where that's where there have been moments with other people coming through, but it's like we're working on a project to help bring that forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's really heavy. That's powerful.
So yeah, it's been like, again, some of this has been very experimental because there's nothing to compare it to. But it's pretty interesting. And then I just wanted to, if I can open up the same file, let me find it, if it'll come up.
Yeah, I want to hear Vanessa. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go to, are you still seeing the, yeah, I think you're seeing this track.
Yeah.
Maybe I can go to, let me see if I can just do it in this tab versus.
Oh, we lost her.
Yeah, should be back. So you guys, this is pretty different and it's pretty heavy. And I would definitely, want to tell you guys to reach out if you're interested in connecting to different vibrations and frequencies.
So, and when she returns, Vinyl Still Works has a question.
Still here. I'm still here.
Yeah, Vinyl Still Works has a question. Go ahead.
How does her music and intuitions relate to her astrological sign?
Well, her intuition and music relates because, Virgo and Cancer are very intuitive, right? Virgo, rules the small and large intestines, and Cancer rules the chest, breast, and stomach. And so I don't know, when you're making this, is there a connection where you feel like in your gut or your stomach sometimes?
Always.
Yeah. Okay. So that, and Virgo is a different, it's so funny because, soon to come my astrology, but I kind of feel like Virgo, an earth sign, is like the 4th air sign because it's ruled by Mercury, very different from Taurus, Venus, Capricorn, Saturn. And then Cancer is the moon, right? And so the moon holds emotions, memory, frequency, intuition. And Virgo is the most intuitive moon, even though it's your sun and your rising. So this is very apropos, along with the Neptune and Sagittarius in your 4th house, to tapping into these vibrations and frequencies. It's really, it's cool. It's really awesome. So yeah, great question.
Awesome. Can you see my screen that says Be Magic? Just make sure I have the right one up since it just like the frequency shifting disconnected me. I want to make sure. If not, I will make sure. There we go. I got it. Should be up now. So this was one of the first tracks where, again, I title things divinely inspired names, and sometimes it's a mess because I'll think it's named something and I'll upload it and then I have to change it at the last minute. But this one, Vanessa comes through very clearly, and I kept hearing her say "Be Magic," and I typically just filter the whole song, but I used that and repeated that because it was so beautiful throughout the whole thing. Do want to share this one where you'll feel it's not human. It's this ethereal tug. And so yeah, if you can you see this? Just making sure that people can see the screen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
sweet. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit play, and I'll mute myself to not have background noise here. Oh, nope. That's not what I set out to play. I'm actually on the page and it's playing the wrong song. Don't know what that's about. Let's try this again.
I had to be in this episode like this, and I want you to know that it's more than a kiss. Go through the myths and the abyss, connecting the dawn, and you know I can't miss. I am magic, I don't see it. I want you to know that I see it and see it. Go with it, just live it. Lunar eclipse, and you know I gotta flip it. Trip, you know it's not about the single slip. You gotta let it go, just release it. Be magic, and increase it in the spirit, not fear it, spirit, through the mountains and through the sky, above the mountains, I won't deny, be the first and not the third. You know, I spit it more than absurd, not for the curb, but the land, the hearts, the
Wow.
Eric, I'm sending you this track so that you can. I'm being guided to share something I sang on, which is why they keep trying to play this other song.
That'd be magic. Whoa.
I'm sending this to you. You're gonna free flow. We're gonna remaster this, and then we're gonna sell it, and it's gonna be amazing. But yes, that level is wild.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So first off, if you're being guided to share something about you singing, if you're comfortable, please feel free. And Cutie Paws has a question. So depending on your astrological sign, your creative skill can be unconsciously guided by source, even if you don't know it.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. Because remember, you guys, with planetary alignments, what's really powerful, the 12th house zodiac wheel wraps around. That's how I do those annual perfections. So right now, Marcie, how old are you?
46.
46. So you are in the 11th house perfection.
And I never made music till 44. Okay. Also, you're never too old. Like, I just,
there you go.
That. Never.
And that's really wild, because at 44, you changed your beliefs and philosophies by getting into music. And that's the 9th house of Taurus, which is creativity and connected to music. Right. And then when you're thinking about right now at 44, at 46, that's the 11th house perfection year. And that's activating right now, as we're hearing this Cancer moon through the internet to groups of people. So, yeah, Cutie Paws, it's, the chart is living, and different things get activated at different years. So I could tell you something in a reading and you'd be like, no, that's not me. And it's like, yeah, it's not you yet.
I think I'm just going to chime on that. Our intuitive gifts are there. And this music, actually, the biggest thing it does, it does a bunch of things that I'm still learning. How many people are like, it did this for me. I'm like, really? But it does tap you into more of your purpose. It calms your nervous system down. And I'm not one of those, I keep getting kind of classified as like, oh, it's another nervous system technique. Yes, it does actually regulate your nervous system, but it taps you into that deeper level of consciousness and that knowing and trusting your intuition. And one of the things I've learned from having mediumship abilities, period, that I never was like, I'm not going to be a medium. I'm not going to like have clients come and like, let me read you and bring in your loved ones. But the biggest thing is we all have this ability.
Yeah. And
even the best mediums that have been doing this, whatever, they will get the weirdest messages that are like, call her a chicken. And they're like, this feels really weird. I don't know. You got to trust it. And the person might be like, I don't understand what you mean. But like 3 days later, they'll come back and go, oh my God, a chicken just crossed the road. And I got it all tied together, quantum levels, right? Yeah. So it's so much about that faith and trust versus just being like, yeah, I'm confident that I know all these things. No, just you have to have confidence in the weirdest things ever. So.
But part of the confidence and humility is that we have to be willing to believe what quote unquote is unbelievable. And that's having that deep water faith and going in the flow and trusting your intuition, because it will guide you in places that you've never fathomed in terms of your own realms of thought, spirituality, creativity, intuition, imagination, everything. So
if you put up a video of me saying who I am, giving my bio from like 10 years ago and today, people would be like, that's not the same person. Might look like it, but like it is that I always had faith, but I also hid that side, and I knew how to placate to the public and what I believed in and how I felt. And I still know my audience and who to talk to, but I also am like, I'm at a place now where I'm like, there's so much wasted time in us trying to placate to people. And
it's all about the heart now. That's where we're at. We have love evolved in that sense. And that's where I try to tell everybody, no matter what's going on with wars and files and government and politicians, it's all like noise. And that's where we need to put it in the background. And we have to tap into Gaia, Mother Earth, connecting with the sun, high vibrational energy, meditation, spiritual practice, discipline, and Gaia, Mother Earth, right? Talk to the nature, the trees, because when we are in the heart chakra, that's where everything is, right? The human design prophecy is that in 2027, we will, as a collective, leave the solar plexus and then vibrate from the heart chakra, and you're going to see the magic happen, right? Remember, in order to rebuild, you have to destroy first. So out of chaos comes order, but not the new world order like they want. We need to have like a new world love and a new world peace, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another question or a comment from Cutie Paws is, so she says she loves to draw and she wants to make it her career. But could this explain the block she's been experiencing for these last few months? And then my question is, could she use some of your music to help her release that block?
Yeah. Hey, girl, I was already anticipating your question. And I've had people, one girl I worked with, she was like, my parents didn't allow me to have crayons, like literally never colored a picture in her life. Can you imagine?
Oh my goodness.
And she's in her 30s and she's like, I've never colored. I'm not artistic. And I started with what will even make the artist uncomfortable. And I do the non-dominant hand thing. And I'm like, scribble. It doesn't matter if you just let all your shit out for better words, like on paper and just scribble, scribble, scribble. But using your non-dominant hand while listening, then you're like, well, if I could at least use that, why am I not using other gifts? And then this girl, next thing I knew, like within a week of her now going back to her regular hand, she was doing this crazy, beautiful word art. It is always untapped potential that is in us. And there are different blocks. And a lot of times it is that block of somebody, something, our patterns have told us you can't do that. And that is absolutely a lie. And everyone is capable of doing whatever they really want to do. There's a lot of healing stuff that goes on with it, but this music opens up this flow state. And absolutely, I can give you like song recommendations, or again, the tracks I'm building, they're going to be these longer format, are going to be specifically designed for flow state or grief relief, whatever. I'm building different components together where certain songs have the right frequency range. And again, it's like a journey. Like it's not just, Eric, you were mentioning earlier, I'm not just going to put a loop on where the song sounds poppy all the way through. But when you put like 4 of the songs together and they blend evenly and they're all in the same range, it activates something in us. And so that's actually one of the beautiful things. I've actually seen people that said they have never colored in a picture turn into artists. Literally.
But you said something key that's really powerful. And this is a message that I do with my clients. You said to use the non-dominant hand. And what this does, we only use our conscious mind, you guys, about 8 to 10% of the day, if that, right? We are in the rote memory of the programming of the subconscious mind. So when you do things like use your non-dominant hand, i.e. like for coloring or brushing your teeth, and then you start to pour in things like positivity, positive affirmations, words, thoughts, or even a skill or a talent like drawing, like in your left hand, right? Then you open yourself up and then you can consciously come back in with the dominant hand and then see magic. And it's the same
It's mastery.
thing.
It is. It really is.
But it releases us from all that we've been kind of drilled. Like imagine somebody with a bit drill going into your brain, pouring in pre-K through college, get a job, go to school, green means go, red is stop, celebrate your birthday, say hello to this. You know what I mean? It's all programming. And we have to get out of that matrix. And exactly how you said it and the way that I say it, that's the way to do it. So whether you do automatic writing and you do it with if you're writing your left hand, or you're brushing your teeth, right? Or something else, like try and start doing these things and allow the flow and magic to happen, because that's where it is in that state.
And the biggest thing I'm getting is like no judgment, like on
Yeah,
yourself.
never
Like obviously, I'm not telling you like don't judge other people. Like don't judge
judge
yourself
yourself.
and
Yes.
say, "Well, I've never been able to do this before." As soon as you speak that, you just go ahead and block yourself, right?
Yep.
That's been
And
a
that's
huge,
the lesson
huge
of the
one.
day of this total Virgo lunar eclipse. So it's perfect that you said it, especially for us being two Virgos. And you guys, like when I scheduled her, I wasn't thinking that it was the Virgo lunar eclipse. I promise you. So there are no accidents that two Virgos are talking about this on the total Virgo lunar eclipse.
Also, 3326. We got some good numbers going on here.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And that's really powerful because Virgos in general, right? We're about work and service, and Virgo's extremely intuitive and creative, but we block ourselves with overanalysis creates paralysis and trying to be perfect and being too critical and nitpicky and overly self-critical. These are the things that we need to continue to release today and through the next 6 months, right? Eclipse energy, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, like full moons, but things will manifest at the Virgo new moon in early September. So just watch the journey, but allow yourself to purge, detox, and release all these negative ideas and thoughts and limiting beliefs of yourself.
Yeah, and that's actually that song I said I'm going to end up only sharing with your group here. Like I've kept it offline. I've produced the Static Mercy song that I played a little bit of earlier, where you heard the raw audio from that. That song was built with all intentions, not even like actual like, hey, I'm going to set out and release. I needed to release, and I asked in my connection, my channel, I was like, let me just build something that helps me release. And even today, I started feeling tired before this. I was like, I've got to have energy to show up for Eric. And I put it back on. I was like, within a minute, I was like, oh, yeah, that song does that for me, right? Like anything you hold on to. So I am, like I said, I'm now categorizing my music in different ways. I've been led to do this for a long time. But when you don't realize you're building this empire of everything, you just build a bunch of songs artistically. Even when I'd paint it, I'd make a huge mess, then clean it up. Instead of everything else I do with my life, where I'm like, let me keep it organized. Art and music is free flow. But then when you say, oh, I've got over 300 tracks out there, and I do have the descriptions, I've done the analysis on them, but to go back and put that into a database, hard. But I am actually now really working hard to build these flows that are specific for this pain point, that pain point, right?
And it's so perfect at this time too, Marcie. People need it.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. Like, again, I will continue to say, not because it's like, I'm not out here like, I was like, I want to become a musician, but this music has saved my life. Like it really has. And it's not even just because John's voice is in it. It's the energy of spirit behind it and what flows through me. And
well, you don't know Vanessa, and her voice is in it too, right?
so no, I actually, a funny side story is I was like, one day I was like, I even told Brian, my current partner, I was like, maybe I should look up if there's someone named Vanessa that died around the same time, all this stuff. And then I got audible message back from John, Marcie, Vanessa never lived on Earth. And that's when the whole Van Bellas came out. I'm like, he's like, just stop your search. You're not going to go find somebody's
silly
like,
earthling
family.
stuff.
No, right.
Vanessa's
And
been over here with
the
me.
blurry part. Right. The blurry part is like, whoa, that's weird. But you can hear even in her voice, it isn't human. It's this watery
magic. That was like dancing on my spine. And my wife loved it. And she was the one that said, can you rhyme on that? And I was like, yeah. She's like, well, then do it. Yeah. And then I was just like, okay,
we're going to get you to flow on that and put out because your audio wasn't coming through that well, but I already felt it. I'm like, this is the one, man. How beautiful it'll be when you free flow on that. We reduce like the sound issues and release that. Yeah.
Oh my God. So any other questions before we wrap it up? This is like so amazing.
I still am being shown that I'm supposed to, maybe this is my own thing. I am not a singer on top of not wanting to play music.
Okay. Yeah. Play that song. That's okay.
But I want to vote from the chat without hearing what they're about. These songs are very different energy. And I've had, I guess, musicians hate me the most because they're like, it doesn't sound right. It's not the way I do it. And my vocals are imperfect. And that's actually what I want to help people get over. Because one of the things I have learned the most from is listening to myself sing, even if off key. I grow so much more comfort with myself. And I'm actually encouraging more people to just sing. Doesn't matter if it's off key. Listen to it till you love it, right? And
Wait,
that's
you
one
need
of
to
the
say that
things.
again to my wife because she tries to tell me not to sing. And I'm
No,
like, I can sing.
no. Look, and I've had like trained opera singers be like, when I listen to, I love your music. When I listen to your voice, it's like, it bothers me because it's not by the rules. And I'm like, nothing about me is by the rules. Like,
Exactly.
and now when I hear people that
F
are
the
professionally
rules.
trained,
Get
I'm
those
like,
rules out of here. Because
opera
it's soul
level,
music.
no,
There's
can't do
no
it. Yeah.
rules with soul music.
And that's the thing, is that I'm hoping that this opens other people up to untapped potential and things that are in them that they go, I couldn't do that. Don't go out trying to think that you're going to become the next like top 10. Just go out and let it out. Why does it matter? But our brain automatically goes to, I'm not good enough to be XYZ.
Yeah.
When really we should just be thinking, I should express this. And the more you express it, the more you let it out, the more beautiful things just come flooding through.
Yeah.
So just a vote if y'all want to check the chat or whatever. Black Sheep is a little bit darker Bjork style. Work It Out is a little bit more like, hey, we're having a good time.
No,
live
right.
life.
As soon as you said Bjork and Black Sheep, I'm voting for that.
It was very, very different what came through. But anyone in the chat got a different opinion before I play one? All right. We got some Black Sheep.
To be honest with you, what you said, right, about breaking the rules, I think of two people that musically have always done that, and that's James Brown and Kanye West. They broke music rules all the time, and that's why they're legendary musically.
It's if you can hang with it while people are saying that doesn't sound right. And I've heard that doesn't sound right, but by people that are not in the music industry, it has impacted them, and they're like, your voice, everything just makes my world better, because they're not judging the music by what they learned.
They're not looking for perfection or comparing.
But we don't move forward. We don't move forward in this world if we don't challenge the status quo. So
we have another.
Sounds like we got a black sheep. All right.
I wanted to also say that our friend Priya is here.
Yay!
Priya, thank you.
Priya's in the house.
Priya's the best, man.
We built this connection right here, and we thank you so much for that.
Well, listen, Virgos need their Gemini friends.
Yeah, and you know what, Marcie? I will let him begin to sing. Okay.
Look, here's the best part. Priya can attest to this. Actually, she's on here. I actually made her branded audio for her podcast. And she was like, I don't like my voice, but the way I created like an echo effect on it and elevated it. She's like, I actually like hearing my voice. So, hey, so I can help fix his problems with his voice in a way that you'll like it.
Okay.
No, we got this. I'm ready for your free flow, man, Eric. We got this.
Okay. No, there's no problem. Well, she loves me when I rhyme. She just don't like when I sing.
No, you know what? When that song was playing, I don't know. Something was like, do it now.
Yeah. Good.
Do it now.
Yeah.
Breaking through the barriers.
And you know what's so funny? Yes. Spirit was telling me to rhyme, and I almost felt like John was telling me to rhyme, and I was being hesitant. So when my wife told me to do it, I was like, oh, thank you. It like gave me the permission.
Oddly enough, what was strange is that my voice, if you noticed, it was lower and deeper. And I was a little bit like, what the hell?
Yeah,
I meant what I said.
Now I'm not gonna get all real spiritual boohoo. Like she sounded like John, but she didn't sound like Alana. I'll say that. She sounded more like a man when she said it to me.
Like, Alana, you were putting the thing I'm getting, and again, I'm gonna go ahead and be like out there with this, but you were actually holding. So in a relationship, we both should be divine, feminine, masculine, balancing each other. But every once in a while, certain things make us go, ooh, no. But you will adhere to more of that divine masculine side when you are allowing him to express his feminine side, which is singing, not flowing. So you were kind of put in that. It wasn't about being like John. It's just that you actually stepped back into that to give him more room to express the singing.
Creatively, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So...
Okay.
We'll play Black Sheep, which is very different. And when I make songs and I sing, I channel them all the way through. I don't go back and re-record. I might check the timing on where it hits, but it's just a channel. I don't write lyrics. I don't plan any of my music. None of it's planned, just so you know. So I'm going to hit this. I'll mute so you guys don't have any feedback from random dogs or anything. And then we'll reconvene.
just had the wildest visual. I want you guys to keep that sound in your head. You guys know escape rooms? It sounded
That's life.
sounded like you guys were in adjoining escape rooms on each other's side between like a double-sided mirror, and like you were communicating to each other, like you and John, and you were both in like different rooms, but like a mirror between you, and like you were like trying to find and reach each other and sending messages to each other.
I'm seeing the Aha Take On Me video from the 80s now.
Yes.
You know that? That's all I'm picturing is the Aha Take On Me.
Yeah, oh, I love
drawing.
that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was my ringtone for a long time back in the day.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I don't think it was terrible. You're singing, and you know, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, okay, it's about the tone and the tune, and it was off and this and that. But I think for me,
that one was very much more intentionally like that.
Yeah, no.
Other ones are very different. Like the other one I'd send to you, like that's what I said, it was very different vibes. But that's the point, is the contrast that I'm given to work with. Where even if I just played like 10 seconds of the other track that people didn't vote on, you'll be like, okay, completely different song. So that's actually part of the thing, is I just go with the flow.
No, I thought it was fascinating, because for me, it's about just like, you know, feeling, you know, stuff. So any last questions or comments here?
No, so we have a final question from Vinyl Still Works. It says, what do you have for everyone to look forward to with Electric Blue and LovEvolve
music
coming soon?
And sky's the limit right now.
Got
a bunch
well, I love that you're working on those.
So March
tracks, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm building the flow tracks. Also, March 19th, I have partnered with, if anyone's ever heard of the Harmonic Egg, if you haven't, it's basically a deprivation chamber. They've got centers all over. So I'm partners with Gail Lynn, who is the inventor of that. I'm working on her from the design side. I'm working on her application right now, but I've done custom tracks for her. So she, and then Priya, who's on here, who has been a speech pathologist, who's helping women in their like postmenopausal state activate their voice, just like I'm doing now, and like be confident in it. And then a girl named Jessica Rosario, who is tapped into, again, this whole sound and consciousness combination. And she's done retreat. She's a DJ, all this. We are all getting together, and I'm doing an actual live build where I build the full track, and we're doing a whole panel of experts on all the power of sound healing. So March 19th, we can add that link in here. I would love for anyone to show up.
Please share that over with like a flyer and link, and I'll share that with the community.
Absolutely.
And how much is this event?
Only $23.
Wow.
Okay. Is it going to be live?
Or it is. No, I don't do pre-recorded webinars. When I do this, it's a live build, and it is the energy of the collective who's in attendance.
March 19th. So that is a Thursday night. What time?
It is. Same time we're hitting here, 7 p.m.
All right.
Eastern.
Wow.
So yeah.
That sounds pretty interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And many more exciting things. And any connections I've made here, I really appreciate. I hope you guys enjoyed the experience. This is the first time I've just gone like free for all completely. And
I love it.
That's because of Eric's Virgo twin energy here. And again, if you guys weren't here, we might still be talking for another hour, but we're going to actually wrap this up to give you a minute to rest.
Oh, my friend, this has truly been so amazing. You know,
thank you.
I want to say, like, you know, I love the courage and the bravery that it takes, because I know, you know, living a life and being one way, and then you going through these life-altering changes, but then being able to receive, be humble enough, but also be open enough to allow spirit to guide you to where God and Source and John were trying to take you. Yeah. And then you being open and like I said, humble and brave enough to then take that step forward. And so I commend you and salute you for that, because that's really powerful. And it's a great example as a mother for your two amazing daughters. You know what I mean? So it's something really for you to be proud of, because I could only imagine, you being all corporate, and then this is so far a turn.
Oh yeah.
And it's really something to, salute and pat yourself on the back for. And it will be rewarded. It already is in the spiritual, but then it will also be rewarded in the 3D physical, especially as Gaia, Mother Earth, and all of us here on this planet start to continue to go through our ascension and kind of meet you where you're at, because that's what it is. Like, some people will not be ready for this yet, and some people are like, oh, give me this. Yeah. I got you.
I've definitely experienced the duality.
Yeah.
That is the hardest part, is that, I think one of the biggest things I struggle with generalized anxiety disorder is not even just the people pleasing, but wanting people to like me, and realizing I could walk in a room and I'm like, I did get used to that in corporate. I was like, well, that guy doesn't, but I don't care. I've got the majority. But when you're actually put in a minority of understanding, it's a whole nother level of like, how do I proceed with this? And I appreciate you saying that, because some days I still struggle. And the biggest thing I want to help people with is, like, same way as we mentioned, Priya helps unmute people and speak their truth. Yeah. But I want people internally to use this music to drop that anxiety that stops them from doing something beautiful that they're meant to do, where they are spinning and questioning. I'm like, I hope, if nothing else, like, just put the headphones on, listen for 20 minutes, and just, you don't have to do any work. That's the beauty of this. It's a spirit line that's like, upgrades. Like, it's okay. It's a different world, but you're supported. And I want people to feel that.
Wow. I love that. Perfect. And that's a perfect way to end the show. Give them the website one more time. And if you have an email, and let them know your socials so they can go follow you on YouTube and IG. Everything's down below, but it's good to just say it.
Yeah. So if you just go to electricblueunited.com or LovEvolve, just one E in the middle of those two words, .com, LovEvolveMusic.com. And you can search me as LovEvolve or LovEvolveMusic on pretty much any platform. And Marcie Dean EB for Electric Blue on Facebook. If you want to add me directly, not my business pages, you're welcome to do that if you're here and been supporting. And I would love to help anyone. If you want to just have a conversation, set up a free chat just to see where you are and see what I can do to help you. Yeah. But thank you guys all for showing up here. And Eric, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, my friend. This was, oh man, that Priya, she knew.
I mean, I feel like I'm leaving a party back from like early days, like early 20s. I was like, oh, this is a good party. I want it to end. Like, I appreciate the energy, but it's beautiful how we can channel that energy into something different. That's not the late night, 3 a.m. We can actually get some sleep, but like, it's that same vibe, I appreciate that.
I know, right? When you get older, you're like, I'd like to get my good rest, please.
Yeah.
I love that, my friend. A true Virgo. I love it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to Brian. Thank you to John and Vanessa. And I just will say, like, I think it's beautiful how you and Brian connect and work together, and that I commend him for being comfortable in his own manhood, heart, mental, and emotions, to be with a woman who is still very connected to her ex on the other side.
I feel like I need to end it with this, is the lightness of that.
Yeah.
Brian has absolutely been such a great support,
He's
especially
incredible.
when I say audible stuff comes through. And sometimes this is like living audio, where I've listened to my songs like a month after the first time. And because of the way they can manipulate frequencies, you'll hear new messages. And I was telling Eric this earlier, but the confirmation is like, this man that I'm with now has stood beside me while my late partner is yelling through speakers, Brian, she needs your help, because he has audio background. He's like, I can't help you because you're doing it the wrong way. But one night he was getting ready to cook some food. He's opening the drawer to the fridge, and the same track we've heard, literally loud as you, perfectly clear that we both turned. He yells, kielbasa, kielbasa, as Brian, we don't ever eat kielbasa. Brian had just happened to get some, and he was opening the drawer to get it out to cook it.
Oh,
and John's yelling through over the loudspeaker. So
that
I'm very, very grateful that this man has been my anchor, because I kind of call them fraternal twins in terms of the unconditional love I've felt from them that I've never felt from anyone else before. But John was like the type that if this was reversed, he'd be like, let's do anything and float off. And Brian's like, Marcie, let's ground this back in. And I'm very grateful for the weirdest things that people may not understand, but God has given me to survive.
It's a miracle. It's a blessing. And he's a great guy. And so that's really awesome. So I thank you. I thank everybody in the chat. You guys, please leave a comment so this can grow in the algorithm, so everybody can get a little, little flavor and juice of this episode of Miss Electric Blue Communications and LovEvolveMusic, Marcie Dean. Come back when we say goodbye in 30 seconds. Leave a comment, thumbs up, say thanks, Marcie, thanks, Eric, whatever, because this needs to be shared, especially on this total Virgo lunar eclipse from two Virgos that I did not plan. It's perfect. So thank you again, Marcie, and thank you everybody for watching.
And thanks for doing everything you're doing. I mean, I just, unrelated to what I'm here for, I know your story. I know not everyone knows the depths of it, but I really appreciate you and appreciate you having me on tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, my friend. You guys, thank you for watching episode 431 of my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast with the amazing Marcie Dean. And I'll be back Thursday night, Nettie Nellis, 7 p.m. Eastern.